agencies and not interfering in their activities. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, Tinubu spoke in Abuja at the 6th Annual General Assembly of the Network of Anti-Corruption Institutions in West Africa. The president described corruption as one of the most significant obstacles to the country's progress, saying all hands must be on deck to confront it. The Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, has threatened to embark on an indefinite nationwide strike at midnight if anything happens to its president, Joe Ajaero. Deputy President of the NLC, Ado Sani, said this in a communique released shortly after the National Executive Council meeting of the Congress, which was convened to discuss the invitation of Ajaero by the police over allegations bordering on terrorism financing. In a related development, the organized labor has called on Nigerians to be patient with the federal and state government following the delay in the implementation of the new minimum wage. The Deputy President of the Nigeria Labour Congress Political Commission, Professor Theophilus Undubuaku, stated this in an interview. The call came in a move to absolve the federal government of any wrongdoing, saying it should be unfair to conclude that there is a deliberate attempt to avoid paying the new minimum wage. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Labour Party have berated the President Bola Tinubu-led federal government for purchasing a new presidential jet allegedly worth $100 million without the approval of the National Assembly. PDP Deputy National Publicity Secretary Ibrahim Abdullahi and Deputy Youth Leader Timothy Osadolo described the action of the government as insensitive while Nigerians are generally facing hard times and struggling to feed. Similarly, the campaign representative for the Labour Party's presidential candidate, Yunusa Tanko, said it is worrisome that the president would prioritize his convenience over the well-being of the generality of Nigerians amid economic hardship in the country. In an effort to end banditry in the Tureta local government area and other adjoining villages, Sokoto State Government has approved the construction of the Tureta-Gidon Kare Road to make bandits' dens more accessible. Governor Ahmed Aliyu revealed this during his visit to Tureta local government area as part of his statewide tour of the 23 local governments of the state. According to him, the road, when completed, will provide security agencies with easy access to the forest that serve as hideouts for bandits in the area. Rivers State government has warned religious bodies and organizations against carrying out any form of medical outreach without the approval of State Ministry of Health. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Adeizi Ore, issued the warning during a media briefing in Port Harcourt, Rivers State capital, where she disclosed that 2 hospitals and a spa in the state had been sealed for operating without registration and unprofessional conduct. She expressed surprise that despite previous calls on any group or organization planning medical outreach anywhere. Nigeria's resident coordinator, United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, Mohammed Fall, says urgent action is needed to save millions of children from malnutrition in northern Nigeria. Fall made this known when he visited the Stabilization Center, a hospital dedicated to treating malnourished children in Yola, Adamawa State, as part of activities to commemorate World Humanitarian Day. The Supreme Court has reserved judgment on the appeal challenging the re-election of Bayelsa State Governor Duoye Diri. The Apex Court similarly reserved judgment on the appeal challenging the victory of Kogi State Governor Ahmed Ododo. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) had declared Diri of the People's Democratic Party as the winner of the November 11, 2023 governorship election in Bayelsa State. However, Temipre Silva of the All Progressives Congress rejected the poll results and challenged it at the Election Petition Tribunal. Tijani Ghazali Counsel, representing the Attorney General of the Federation, says the federal government is looking to amicably resolve issues raised by Walter Onoge, former Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN. In an appeal, Onoge had challenged his removal from office in 2019. The former CJN argued that the tribunal chairman was biased and denied him fair hearing. He noted that only the National Judicial Council (NJC) has the power to discipline him for misconduct and not the lower tribunal. The National Assembly has challenged its staff to embrace technology for increased productivity and modernization. Clerk of the National Assembly, Magaji Tambawal, gave the charge during the opening ceremony of a 4-day capacity building and training program for 318 staff of the National Assembly from grade levels 10 to 14. Delivering a keynote address at the formal opening of a 4-day capacity building program for staff of the National Assembly in Abuja, Tambawal said training and retraining are essential components of professional growth and development, particularly in today's fast-paced and ever-revolving work environment. You're watching News Cycle, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When the news returns, Central Bank of Nigeria says foreign remittance surges by 130% in July. We'll bring you those details and more stories after this short break. Please do stay with us. This is Global Television, bringing you live broadcast of News Cycle with Huyi Agmofwebe. Now let's talk some business. The federal government says it owes the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited almost half of what it plans to collect its revenues this year for the petrol subsidy it reintroduced in August last year. The report stated that NNPC is owed 7.8 trillion naira by the government in subsidy debts for the 7 months to July, citing NNPC's Chief Financial Officer Umar Alia. The government aims to collect 19.4 trillion naira in revenue this year. The subsidy that was withdrawn in May last year by Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu to help repair the state's finances after debt service cost jumped to 96% of revenues was reinstated to allow measures to be reintroduced that could cushion Nigerians from spiraling into inflation that's at 33%. The Central Bank of Nigeria has reported a 130% surge in remittance inflows, with the figure reaching $553 million in July 2024. A statement by the Acting Director of Corporate Communications Department at the Regulatory Bank says this milestone represents the highest monthly remittance inflows ever recorded, marking a significant increase from the same period in 2023. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, Mosimi Depot in Ogun State has blamed the current fuel scarcity in the southwest region of the country on the refusal of the management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited to make petroleum products available to its members 3 months after payment. The association therefore appealed to the federal government as well as other critical stakeholders in the industry to prevail on NNPCL management and ensure that the corporation desist from withholding petroleum products from its members so as to lessen the hardship being experienced by citizens. Stakeholders in the finance industry have stressed the need to promote digital economy in order to pave way for global competitiveness and sustainable growth. Executive Director of the Nigerian Youth in Politics, Blessings Oyefeso, made this known at a media chart on digital economy transition in Abuja. Global Television Samuel Odi has details.
Digital economy is economic activity that results from billions of everyday online connections among people, businesses, devices, data, and process. The Executive Director of the Nigerian Youth in Politics, Blessing Oyefeso, says the media chart is aimed at promoting digital economic transition, a coalition between the Ministry of Finance and youth stakeholders. He further stated that the event is set to explore various strategies that will advance Nigerian socio-economic and sustainable development.
Regulatory agencies, social impact makers to explore various strategies that will advance Nigeria's socio-economic and sustainable development.
The event, which brought together stakeholders from various sectors, including government, lawmakers, leading technology experts, and youth delegates, aims to foster collaboration to amplify digital economy. Samuel Odi, reporting for Global Television News.
Thank you, Samuel. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has confirmed that the federal government is paying subsidies on the petrol it imports into the country. Though the NNPCL denied paying fuel subsidies to marketers in the last 9 months, he said the government allows it to sell at a price below the landing cost. The company's chief financial officer, Alhaji Umar Ajia, made the clarifications in Abuja. The federal government has announced that it has paid off 205 billion naira of the 1.3 trillion naira debt owed to power generation companies in a move aimed at boosting liquidity in the power sector. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu disclosed this in Abuja during an oversight visit by the House of Representatives Committee on Power. Adelabu emphasized the need for lawmakers to hold the executive accountable for settling outstanding debts to players in the sector and must therefore sustain their pressure to achieve this goal. The new Director General of the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, Jobsin Ewalefo, has vowed to streamline public-private partnership processes to accelerate infrastructure development, bridge the attendant gaps, and stimulate economic growth. He said that public-private partnerships are vital for advancing development across all sectors and need strategic procedures and crucial steps to improve their delivery, considering Nigeria's facility gaps. Ewalefo also promised that the Commission would, within the ambit of the law, resolve all encumbrances that hamper the execution of projects, so long as such projects are bankable and viable, important to the Nigerian people, and deliver value for money. The U.S. government has announced a $27 million humanitarian aid package for Nigeria to assist vulnerable populations and build resilience against food insecurity and climate change impacts. The U.S. mission in Nigeria, which stated this in Abuja, said the funding is part of the U.S. government's $536 million humanitarian aid package to sub-Saharan Africa. He said that the comprehensive aid package was officially unveiled by Uzra Zeya, U.S. Under-Secretary of State for Civilian Security, Democracy, and Human Rights. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit, Hafsat Bakari, has disclosed that the unit has begun the deployment of artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning tools to assist in its operations to fast-track its process. Bakari stated this during the opening ceremony of the first high-level retreat of the NFIU in Abuja. He said that the development will strengthen NFIU's technology platforms, saying that the action is in conformity with the federal government's policy of a paperless working office environment. On the foreign scene now, thousands of children in northern Vietnam will struggle to return to school after flash floods and landslides damaged homes, destroyed crops, and isolated several communities in the region. That's according to a charity warning. The country's north experienced an extremely wet summer with mountainous areas in the northwest, particularly hard hit by heavy downpours and flash floods since early July. Nearly 29,000 houses have been damaged and 19,000 hectares of crops destroyed, according to Vietnam's General Statistics Office late last month. Hundreds of protesters have gathered at a railway station in the western state of Maharashtra to protest the alleged sexual assault of 2 children. The girls were allegedly abused when they went to use the toilets in the nursery school in Thien District, Badapur city. Police have arrested a male employee of the school, but the parents of the children have alleged there was a delay in action. Train services at the Blackpool railway station were stopped as angry protesters blocked the tracks, demanding justice for the children. In a related development, India's Supreme Court has set up a national task force of doctors to make recommendations on workplace safety following the rape and murder of a trainee medic at a state hospital that prompted nationwide protest. The court, which took up the case on its own, said that the doctors' panel was being established to frame guidelines for the safety and protection of medical workers across the country. It directed that the task force to submit an interim report within 3 weeks and a final report within 2 months. Top United States diplomat and Secretary of State Antony Blinken has visited Egypt for talks on the Gaza ceasefire after saying Israel had accepted the U.S. bridging proposal for a deal, urging Hamas to do the same. Blinken on his 9th visit to the Middle East since the Palestinian militant group's October 7 attack that triggered the war with Israel flew to El Alamein, the Mediterranean city famous for a World War II battle, and began talks with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at his summer palace. He will later head to Doha, where he is expected to meet with Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. Both Egypt and Qatar are working alongside the United States to broker a truce in the 10-month Gaza conflict. Enough of conflict now. Time to bring you some kicks from the world of sports. General manager of Enyimba FC and legendary footballer Kanu Nwankwo has inaugurated a family stand at the club stadium in Aba, Abia State. Kanu, who stated this in Aba, said the initiative aims to create and provide a welcoming and inclusive environment and atmosphere for families to enjoy live football together. He said the family stand is designed to provide a safe and comfortable space for parents and children to cheer on Enyimba FC. A brilliant initiative, don't you think? And that's a full circle on the news here, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja, on Global Television. Just a quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276, as well as free to air on Nigecomsat, and the parameters are now showing on your screen. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using our Global TV NG and other handles as you now see on your screen. Coming up at top of the hour is Big Talk with my colleague, Deacon Michael. Have a great time watching.